Hi, this is Dave Zimmerman of the Kaza Group at eXp Realty. Well, welcome to Living in Clifton, the channel that explores all the best things about living in Clifton, Virginia. Well, today we have a special interview with Mr. Juan Navarro, the co-owner of the Clifton Wine Attic. So sit back, relax, and enjoy our chat with the guy who brings some of the most fantastic wines we've ever tasted to Clifton, Virginia. And remember to like, share, and subscribe to Living in Clifton and never miss another episode. So I'm Dave Zimmerman with the Kaza Group, eXp Realty, and welcome to Living in Clifton, where we explore all the best parts of living in Clifton. So we have a special guest with us today, Juan Navarro, the co-owner of the Wine Attic. Juan, welcome.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming with us.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about kind of your history, your family. Tell me about your folks, where you grew up, those kinds of things.
Sure. Basically, I grew up right around here. I went to Centerville High School.
Okay.
So my parents moved into a neighborhood just on Clifton Road in 1989.
Okay.
Before that, we were living in Burke. And so I've been here. I find it strange. I've worked in restaurants and all that kind of stuff. And we see a lot of people come through Northern Virginia, but I've been here for a long time. I find it refreshing, that I've been able to stay.
So from 1989, that's early 90s, right?
Yeah.
That's a long time. So what's changed here? I mean, it's got to be a little different.
We've watched this whole area grow. So from where my parents' place is, 29 and 28 was just a traffic light back then. And it's turned into this huge loop now, and 28's got widened and that sort of thing. The neighborhoods have stayed pretty similar. We've seen a lot more condos come up, that sort of thing. But Centerville and Clifton have certainly gotten a lot busier in these past 30 years.
Centerville High School. What year did you graduate?
1994.
94. All right. Excellent. So tell me about your folks.
So my parents run interior decorating company. And actually, a lot of the inspiration for what I do now comes from my parents. So in 1982, they formed it's window treatments is what they do.
Okay.
And in the early 80s, we talked about how Clifton has changed. In the early 80s, all of Northern Virginia was just booming. And so they had opportunity to outfit lots of different homes throughout the area, and that's the family business. Still to this day, my parents are in their late 70s. And they're still going.
Still doing it?
Yeah, they take work as they want to, but my dad is not happy unless he's doing something.
Okay.
So that's been a source of inspiration for me to be able to just sort of keep moving and just do it on your own terms.
That's very cool. So siblings, brothers, sisters?
Yeah, I got a sister. She's a social worker. For Prince William County. So she's in the area as well.
And she in Centerville High School as well?
Yeah, we're 3 years apart.
Okay. So tell me, you grew up, your parents sound like they're very hardworking people. At 79, that's pretty great, right? They're still going after it. What values did they instill in you growing up, that you're using today in co-owning the Wine Attic?
That's it's hard to put into words exactly, but it's kind of like this idea of just always keep moving, just keep doing something, right? So stay busy, and that becomes the reward. And I'm not saying busy for the sake of busy, but my dad's always thinking, always trying to improve something, and for me, that translates into it's like I get to call on my own shots, and I answer only to myself. Well, he answers to my mom, and I answer to my wife. All right, I get how that works, but it is it's really just an issue of constant improvement, and they've done it. They've taken their business from just the two of them to having a lot of different employees and a network of people, and now it's to the two of them, and they take work as they want. But that really is it. Just you like doing it, you love doing it, keep doing it.
It's almost a perfect business. You start small, become wherever you want to become from a size perspective, and then in your later on years, you can then, you know, come back to where your roots were.
Yeah, I check in with my parents. I mean, we still live in the same house. I check in a few times a week, and my dad always said the same thing. We've got enough work right now to keep me busy. We're good. I've got but he schedules himself out pretty constantly, but he loves it.
That's very good, very good. So growing up in Clifton, what's it like? What were your favorite things to do around Clifton?
Well, way back when I was first learning to play guitar, we had a great little guitar shop over at Braddock Road and 29, which I think now is where, what is that? That's there, Alto Plaza. But it was a great local guitar shop, actually run by a Clifton resident just lives down the street. But Pink Guitars, and so I could walk there, and that I spent a lot of my time in that shop. Just I think to the point of harassing the owner because I was asking a million questions as I was learning to play, but they were very patient with me, and that was another like great source of like, you know, you can do it on your own. I actually ran into Mark, the owner of that. He since closed the shop, but I ran into him because I knew I worked with his daughter when I was working with Great American Restaurants. I saw him at a table, and I was like, you. And it was great because a lot of that was, I can't stress how much time I spent in that job. Like I would walk up there a lot. But yeah, it was great to see him and to notice that was such a big influence on me, and that I would use that later in life as just a way to say like, hey, you can run a business off of passion.
For sure. Yeah. So six string?
Yeah. That's
acoustic.
That's it.
Electric.
I one of each really. You know, I never really took any lessons, so I just play the way that I play. But yeah, so mostly electric guitar.
So what do you like to play? What are your genres?
Anything really. I've always written most of my own material. So like through my 20s and part of the 30s before kids, I was in bands that we would record and tour and that kind of thing. We didn't really make any money, so that's why when kids came along, it was kind of put that away for a little bit. But I still play, and I can play part-time right now, which is fun without a huge, you know, having to run my own band, which is a relief. But I still get to partake a little bit.
Yeah, you sing too?
You don't want to hear me sing.
Nice. So, any of your family members, if you could pop a cork, serve them some wine, sit there and drink it with them, who would it be? Why? What wine would you?
Interesting question. So I guess I would probably pick. You know, I'm actually gonna just go with my dad.
Okay.
And I'll tell you this, and this is the why to all that. I don't actually really know a lot of my family. So we got to the United States. I was born in Venezuela. We got to the United States in the early 80s. I was maybe 3 years old.
Okay.
I don't know a lot of my family in South America. So, you know, this is not a slight on them. I just don't really know that we grew up here. It was just the four of us. But you get my dad a little something to drink, and he opens up. and I know probably there's always something, and you know, and as I get on in years, there's a lot of questions I haven't asked him, and details that I just don't. I don't know why I've never approached the subject, and I think that's part of the parent-child dynamic. Things you're afraid to ask, but you know, if I would just like to say, okay, we're going to take a bottle of probably Portuguese red. You really like Portuguese reds. Okay. We're going to sit down and let me ask you, what are the specifics of when you opened the business? What was it like? You know, because my father taught me English, right? I mean, Spanish was my first language, so there's a lot there. This is not to say that I wouldn't want to drink with my mom. She doesn't really drink, so. That's different.
Well, you got to go with whoever does.
If it's about wine, it's going to be about my dad. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's very cool. So Venezuela. Wow.
Yeah, he's Peruvian, but yeah, my sister and I were both born in Caracas.
Okay.
And so, but yeah, we've been here pretty much my entire life. Nice. So it's so I always say I like to say that I'm from Northern Virginia.
Nice. So let's talk a little bit about the wine addict. So you were telling me a little bit earlier, so kind of rehearse a little bit of that story on what inspired you to do this. And the first question is, what did you do before that?
So, working in restaurants. We got into restaurants because we had kids on the way, and I didn't really have a stable job. And it was Renee's suggestion to say, you should probably get something where we get some money, because playing music and that kind of thing, it was barely sustainable.
Okay.
So I got a job waiting tables. Renee was already working in a restaurant at the time, different restaurant, but turned that into, we both turned our restaurant careers into long-term management careers. Okay. And I spent the last, I guess, from 2008 to 2017 with Great American Restaurants.
Okay.
And that was huge for me. They taught me a lot about, and I don't want to say the business because I don't do that business, right? But the models in terms of hospitality and how you treat people internally and externally were really very influential for me. So when I left to sort of pursue my own interests and landed on this opportunity here, and it wasn't even something that I was planning on doing. Renee and I were discussing different life options, and we just happened to be in the parking lot of this building when she had to make a phone call. And so we pulled over, heard of the phone call, and I saw the phone number and that the space was for rent. So this shop, this space has been a wine shop in Clifton for a long time.
Okay.
Had gone through various owners, but the last owner had folded the business. And we were customers of hers. We would walk in, and we were part of the wine club and everything. But then I saw the sign, and I was like, I can't believe that this shop no one's taken it over. Yeah. I called the building owner, the number on the sign. He quoted the rent to me, and I said, all right, that sounds all right. And said, if you want to take a look at the place, we made an appointment for it. And then that was pretty much it. We spent our afternoon thinking, can we do this? Can we not do this? We had no experience in retail. We knew restaurant operations and primarily front of house operations. But we thought it out and wrote up like a letter of intent and did the whole thing. And then that was pretty much it. I mean, that was June, I want to say, June of 17.
Okay.
And with through the town of Clifton, because everything here is through a town council as opposed to Fairfax County. We go to the town council, and we were open by September. Oh, wow. It was a very quick turnaround. They were very supportive of the idea, and we were able to get our own financing handled, and that was it.
So when you first walked in here, the first time when you had your first visit, what did it look like? What did you see? Oh, well,
speaking in terms of like what an artist would see, that's literally what it was. The Clifton Art Guild had been using this space to teach classes. And so it looked like a studio. There was canvases and sheets and easels and all kinds of stuff everywhere. And I was like, I gotta carve a wine shop out of this, huh? And it had been before, but they had rearranged everything to be able to host students. But we had envisioned a shop that would feel cozy, that wouldn't feel crowded. But at the same time, when we chose the name The Wine Attic, because the shop was a different name before, we rebranded the whole thing. We happened to, not happened across, but we have a lot of Renee's family heirlooms here. Oh, okay. And things that, her grandmother, Nana, would call and say, Renee, come get your stuff out of the attic. And
like, that'd be great in the shop.
and we did. And so we have a lot of stuff. We opened the shop the year that Nana passed away, and we went through all the stuff in the attic, and we finally went and we listened to her command, get your stuff out of the attic. So much great stuff. And then the other side of Renee's family as well, her grandparents have a lot of stuff that we were able to just have and decorate with. And it's funny because nowadays people ask us, they'll pick something up, like there's some really cool binoculars here, some old tools, old cameras. For us, they're artifacts of our family. And there's like, oh, how much for this? Well, it's really cool. It's just not for sale. It happens a lot. But that was all part of the vision. Because like, what are we going to do with this stuff? Let's just take it, and so it's like a living homage to of Nana's and Grandma's attic.
Gives you a chance to do a little that creative side as well.
Yeah.
So in running the wine attic, there's a lot of wine shops around, whatever, and so how do you determine what products you sell here? What are some of your favorite regions? That kind of thing. Tell me a little bit about.
Yeah, well, we taste a lot of wine. That's sort of number one. We keep our palates pretty well tuned. We understand origins of the different types of wines. We like to say that we don't want to sell stuff that you're going to find in a grocery store. Mm-hmm. And that's not to disparage that segment of the market. It has a place. There are people who that's what they want to get. It's consistent, but we look for the items that are going to be a little bit out of the way, that will show vintage variation, that have a story to tell, that come from much smaller production. We just hosted a winemaker here on Saturday. She, one of the wines we're tasting, she made 93 cases. Right, it's a very small business, but they're really good wines, and it's a one-woman operation. And we choose to work with people like that more often than say like, oh, well, we could get X, Y, and Z that you have at the grocery store that everyone wants. Great, that's cool. Let them do that. We're going to play a different game. So a lot of it is understanding what our guests want, and that's I don't like to use the word customer or client or anything like that. I still take that vision of hospitality with us here. So everyone's a guest to us. They walk in, and maybe you didn't buy something that day, but we kind of understood what you were looking for. Mm-hmm. And next time that person walks in, I can say, hey, you know what, we were talking last time, you were really looking for this specific type of Italian bread. I got something in, I think you should try it. And that's the game we play. It is a long game, right? But we establish trust. And so when I look for wines to carry, it's not necessarily about, obviously it's business. You're going to say like, okay, well, costs and things that are important, but really it's more about, I have a home for this. Like I believe in the story of the wine, and I know there's people that are looking for something like this. And when we hit those points, it goes on the shelves. And that's really it. So I've got people, they walk in coming up the stairs, I hear their voice, and I'm like, I go and I grab a couple bottles and I go, these are for you, right? This is what I was thinking of.
Nice.
And it happens a lot, but that's what we do. And everyone we hire here knows and understands that, and that's the approach.
Okay. What are some of the regions where your wines come from?
So
kind of take me around the world.
Yeah.
What your favorites are.
Well, I'll tell you this: we're known for selling Austrian wine.
Austrian.
And we've appeared on a few lists in the Austrian wine marketing. It's called Austrian Wine. It's a national marketing agency that they run. But we sell a lot of Austrian wine. I mean, that's sort of what it comes down to. But it's not just because here's this smaller region. We don't look at it in terms of trends or anything like that. They're very clean wines. There's smaller production. They're family-run operations for the most part. So we get to know who the people are. We understand the land and what that's all about. So we can represent a product that we absolutely believe in. So Austria is a big one for us. Portugal, a lot of great Portuguese wines come through here. And of course, we're in Clifton, and we're above a very well-known and popular Italian restaurant. And people do come in here looking for Italian wines. They have it on their mind, and so we have an extensive Italian selection as well. But if you're looking for like the big Napa Cabs and that kind of stuff, we have some of those. But I think old world wines, European in particular, one of our best-selling wines is from Serbia. It's a Pokupats, and it's a fantastic wine. Okay. People come in and they're like, I'm looking for something different. First thing we'll go to is the Pokupats, and they come back for more. And I'm sold out of it right now. It'll be right there. That's how it works. So those regions, old world regions, more so than say California wine and stuff like that. And there's nothing wrong with that, but we really do focus on European wines more than anything else.
So what would you say the division is between like whites and reds?
So we're very heavily red.
Okay.
In terms of variety, like in terms of product mix. However, our number one selling wine is from a local distributor, actually, local company, local residents, everything. And it's a Pinot Grigio Trebbiano.
Okay.
And literally like a swimming pool of that wine sells every single week. That's just, people subscribe to it, cases go out, it's very, very popular. So that's a white wine, and it outsells everything else on that one. But then reds underneath that are
A lot of variety.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's great. So how do you help educate your customers on, let's say somebody's, like a, California cab, that's all they drink, right? Or some Chardonnay from somewhere, right? And they come in and they're like, hey, we're kind of bored, we're kind of like stuck in a rut. How do we get out of it? How do you educate them on, okay, here's some wines and here's what to look for? What do you do?
Sure. So a lot of it is listening. Like you were saying in this example, if someone says, "This is what I normally drink," and we hear that a lot because they'll come in and say, "I don't recognize any of these labels." And so, well, what do you usually drink at home? And they'll tell me. And I can often say something like, "Well, I don't carry that wine, but I can get you close. Here's a couple things. You like something that's got some really, really, really bold tannins, a lot of ripe fruit." We're going to take you here, and there was an Austrian wine I was carrying that fits that. But a lot of it is listening. A lot of it is understanding our own selection. Everything on these shelves I've tasted, and the staff tastes most all of it as well.
Yeah.
So, and we also always have bottles open. So we've always got something open to taste where if someone comes in and they're like, okay, well, here's what I normally drink. Well, let's pour you a couple wines. Tell me what you think of those. And then we can extrapolate the recommendations from what you thought of those. So having the real time, being able to give them that the taste, get the information from them, and then at the same time, we don't push things on anyone, right? So we're not about saying, oh well, this is the best wine, and this is the one that you're gonna like. That's just not us. It's listen, learn, recommend from there.
Try this one, try that one.
Yeah, and if they don't like it, people sometimes when they do tastings with us, they'll try a wine and they go, I'm sorry, I just don't like it. And I'm like, that's just fine. You not liking the wine that I have open tells me a lot. And this tells me what not to recommend to you. So here's what I would say. And we form the relationships that way. And that is the most important part. So understanding, listening, relationships.
So tell me a little bit about some of the things that you do for clients that are regulars. You do tastings. Is there there's a wine club?
Sure. Yeah. Well, the wine club is one of our most popular offerings. Pretty robust wine club, and what our club members get different tasting type experiences. There's a lot of discounts that they get as being part of the club. But every month they get 2 to 4 different bottles off of a theme that I selected. And I selected. I'll help Renee run by our business partners, but we'll select this theme and do a whole write-up on why this was selected, what these wines are all about, what the regions are all about. So there's an educational piece to it as well. We don't try to be too, I don't want to use the word non-educational, but we don't want to be overbearing in what we're teaching here in person, because sometimes people are, they just, if they want to have a conversation about it, great. But we save a lot of that for the club when they get all the files and the data with their wine club. And also that club offers a monthly tasting of the wine club wines. So we do an event here in Clifton. We do that the first Saturday of every month, where we have all the wines open. Someone either from the distributorship or from the winemaker. We've had winemakers down here before, or the direct importers. They come in here and they're talking through the wines with our club members. And there's a social aspect of that as well. So it's become very, very popular for our club members to come in on the first Saturday. They hang out, they taste all the different wines, and they learn in that experience as well. So that's a big part of it. And there's a number of our club members have told me that they really enjoy more than anything is that social aspect of being around other people or into the same types of wines. And a lot of friendships have been formed here between our club members. So it's been really cool to see.
Now, are most of your club members from around here pretty close? Are they
Pretty
Clifton
much.
people? Are they,
Yeah,
train
there's-
station Clifton?
It is pretty much within, I would say, 10 miles of the shop,
Okay.
which is interesting because Clifton, in terms of retail, people come here on the weekends. You see a lot of people travel through here. It's a wonderful destination on any day of the week.
Yeah.
If I was going to visit, I'd visit on a Wednesday. It's very crowded on Saturday. But a lot of people drawn from all over the area. But we are able to get a lot of wine club members from just far enough out that they make it a regular stop to come into Clifton to pick up their wines, and they enjoy that. And even if we've been through some of our club members through several different houses and moves, and I'm like, okay, well, what do you want to do with the club? I'm like, well, we'll stay with the club. We just want to come out and pick it up because we love coming to Clifton. And so it's a great thing there. But yeah, it is primarily, and actually I learned this during the COVID shutdowns. We started offering a service where, since the shop was basically closed, we were online only. So we always delivering the wine to our club members. And I really got to see firsthand where everyone is, and it's pretty close. A lot of Prince William people as well.
Okay.
So I go down that the Prince William County Parkway a lot to get to the club members.
So how does somebody join the club?
So it's pretty simple. You just come in and say, I'd like to join the club. On our website, thewineaddict.com. But on our website, there is a thing that says join our club. It's just a sheet. We do all the signups in person. We do it over the phone as well. We just put a credit card on file because we just charge a subscription on a monthly basis. But that's really it. It's just.
And how much is it?
It's $49.99 a month for 2 wines, but there is a 4 wine option, which is $89.99 a month. And there's no contracts. There's no minimums. Some people join the club and they're here for a few months and like, I just can't make it out there. But most of our club members have been with us for a very long time. And there's a lot of value in our wine club.
Longevity. That's fabulous. So, what is the most challenging thing about running the wine addict?
Well, right now specifically, independent of like the challenges that small business owners face, right now the entire alcohol industry has seen a bit of a shrink just because of the COVID numbers. So during 20, 21, 22, everyone's at home and they were buying large amounts of alcohol. The whole industry has seen this, and
it's an essential business.
And we were labeled essential. That was true. We opened for 3 hours a day for curbside pickups during the shutdowns. But the industry has seen a decline, and people are a bit more. They're more particular about how they spend their money on alcohol.
Okay.
So we're not seeing volume of alcohol. People are just drinking better, but it's a little bit less. So navigating that changing landscape, there are more people that are choosing to go alcohol free. We brought in more alcohol free options. So we carry some great non-alcoholic beers. Just found a fantastic alcohol free sparkling wine. And then the mixtures that go along with it. So you can make mocktails and that kind of stuff. And that's something that's new to me. It's not really an area of expertise that, because I don't stay away from it, right? So we're learning that.
Okay.
And that's a big part of the landscape right now. And then of course, being in the DC Metro, we're seeing, I think we're seeing an increase of people heading back into offices, and that's been happening over the past couple of years.
Right.
When everyone was at home, it's different. It was much different, but now the rush hours are heavier. There's more cars on the road, so we're adjusting our hours and our approach to meet that demand and those business levels appropriately.
So you're expanding your hours?
Here in Clifton, we probably will. We're still gathering the data, but it looks like we'll start staying open a little bit later. I've got my guests saying, I'm going to the office now. I can't get there by 6, and so we're still weighing all that.
Yeah, a little bit later, so they can pick it up going through.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now you do craft beers and that kind of thing as well.
We do here in the Clifton shop, and I say Clifton shop because we have 2 locations.
Okay.
The other one's in Lorton, but this particular location, the name of the shop is the Wine Addict, and people know us for wine. But we do sell a fair amount of craft beer. We like to work with local breweries primarily, and I say that, but some of our top sellers are from Iceland, and from Vermont. But we'll work with like Bitterfruit Brewing Company and Caboose two of our favorites, Dynasty as well. These are breweries right here in the area that we're able to, get the beers pretty easily and have a fairly fresh selection of those. But here in Clifton, beer is a small percentage of sales. In our Lorton shop, it's a more walkable area, and we saw a lot more beer there.
Now, where's the Lorton shop?
So Lorton shop is located at Lorton Station. So it's basically at the VRE station.
Okay.
And it's on Lorton Station Boulevard. And there's a neighborhood right across the street. There's condos above us. A block down, there's an apartment complex. And then even behind that, there's even more houses. So a lot of our regulars, they just walk up. Clifton's a little different. Clifton seems walkable, but the immediate area is, and we have great regulars here in the immediate actual town of Clifton, but from everywhere else, you got to drive in.
So Clifton was 2017, as I recall.
2017, yeah.
And Lorton was?
April of 24.
Okay, just
so yeah, brand new.
Okay, excellent. So what are some of the local things that you do here, the events that, what's your biggest event, I guess is my question.
Well,
in Clifton.
Clifton Day is the one.
Yeah, I saw your tent.
Yeah,
I actually talked with you a little bit there.
Clifton Day is a great time, and this past one was really, really busy. We work with the town. We curate the wine tent for the town, and then we also will run our own tasting tents outside. But it's a big day. We meet a lot of people. So even if we weren't, like, the shop itself isn't all that busy. It's all about what's up front. But we meet tons of people. And it's a great day for us and for the whole town. Clifton Day is great. The Haunted Trail. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of the events that I talk about are events that Renee and I will volunteer at these events.
Yep.
Clifton Day, I have a hard time volunteering during the day because I'm working.
Because you're there.
But we do volunteer afterward to help clean up the town and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But Haunted Trail, we were line monitors last night. But it's such a fun event, and just being line monitors is just making sure, because people live here, and so it's just keeping people to say, hey, let's keep the line off someone's lawn. Thank you very much. But everyone's so happy to be part of this huge event. I think this last one was a record-setting Haunted Trail. Okay. That's always the last Saturday of October.
Yeah, the line comes clear down to Main Street, Chapel Street.
It is nuts. Yeah. And so October is a great time to be in Clifton for that. You got the leaves, you've got just a beautiful drive, and then of course these great town events.
Mm. Yeah, the Haunted Trail is the best haunted trail.
Yeah.
Anywhere, I think.
It's good. It scares me. I don't like to do scary things.
Well, I took my wife down there the first time that we went, and it was funny because she was screaming at every turn.
Yeah.
Every turn.
It's a lot.
Yeah, so she's like, now it's like she says, well, how about if you just go and I'll just.
Yeah. We were very happy being line monitors, and the thing is too, it's completely volunteer run. Like everyone running the skits and all the different stops, they're volunteers. They do this purely out of the love of Halloween.
Yeah, and this town.
Yeah.
So when you're thinking about wine trends and future opportunities, how do you keep informed on what new wines are out there, what new producers, you talk about Austria, fabulous. How do you keep in tune with, some other country that's, coming out with it?
Sure. We're about to bring in some Ukrainian wines.
Yep.
And that's, but a lot of that is just being open to try different things.
Are there still vineyards in Ukraine?
It's a bit more western side, bordering Hungary. But that's
there's a big light of it, but it seems like.
I was concerned absolutely when they showed up to show us the wines. But it's a really cool program too. Very long established winery that is working. The guy here is retired military and was actually going over there and helping. In military ways as an advisor, and but was drinking the wine and getting to know the people, and decided to bring all that back over here. So it's going to be brand new to the market, but stuff like that. It's being a lot of just being open and willing to try new things, because there's a lot of tradition in the wine world, and there's a lot of it's like, well, this is just how it is, and here's a new vintage of this thing that you've always carried. But we are okay with bringing in new stuff. We are okay with trying regions that we actually, in the Ukrainian thing, actually, we were in Austria last May for a wine expo, and there was a table of Ukrainian wines. I'd never had them before. And so we tried the wines that were really, really good, and the rep at the table, and this is in Vienna, Austria, I asked him, are these in the United States? He said, no, not yet. And then lo and behold, I come back and I got this guy walks in and says, like, I'm importing Ukrainian wines. You want to talk? So, just putting the dots together. Virginia's got some pretty complicated alcohol laws. And so if I were to travel somewhere and love the wines, I just can't bring them back, right? So they all have to be cleared, third party, 3-tier system. So we rely on maintaining strong relationships with our sales reps from the distributors. And so they know what we're looking for, they know the vibe. I'll ask them about certain things, like I was looking for Swiss wines one day. So it wasn't just like, I wanted a white Merlot and a fondant, right? And then they come in with like, here's 6 other wines that that you might want to know. So we learn together, but it's, if someone walks in and says like, I have X brand from the grocery store, you really should be carrying this. I'm like, you don't understand me at all. This relationship's not going to go any further.
We're not really going for the grocery store stuff.
So they understand. So staying on top of trends and stuff really is working with the people who are also boots on the ground, out there with the bottles, saying here's what we've got, and they know us well enough that they can pitch us ideas, and that we're willing to listen.
Great. So what's the future look like for you and for the wine adding? Where are you going to be in 5 years?
Well, let's see. 5 years. In 5 years, this shop will be celebrating a pretty good anniversary. What I'm really looking for is the expansion of our Lorton location. Right now, that is retail only. We have we're in the middle of planning to change that into having a little kitchen there, so it can be a little wine and charcuterie bar, right?
Oh, nice, yeah.
And so that's what we're looking to do there, and being able to do that will change how we can supply this store. And so the relationship between the two shops will change greatly once we have that side of it established on the Lorton shop. So that is the immediate goal. 5 years from now, I'm going to have 2 kids that are done with college. And so I would love to, when they're done with all that, I would love to give one of them the opportunity to work with us, and try to keep that side of it going, because it's important to me. My father really wanted me to take over what he does. I am not visually creative. It's not my thing. Anything that looks good in this shop, it's because Renee has a vision.
Okay.
Well, I would decorate it with cardboard boxes in front of it. That's just how I am. My dad sees things and can, he'll sketch something. I don't know how pencil works. Give me a guitar, I'll write you a song. Like that's no problem. I can do that. But yeah, he's got that eye. Renee has that eye. So I never could work for him in that regard. I know how to install the drapes, but to have the kids though, one of them, even just for a little bit, to try what it's like and say, this is what your parents really do. Yeah. This is it. And
is there interest from their perspective on that?
Yes and no, and I say yes and no because it's 2 kids. The one's like, he wants to focus on college, and he wants to go into engineering, and and I'm like, good, do that.
Go ahead.
But our daughter is a bit more, and this is not comparing the kids, they're just different personalities, right? Sure. But she's a bit more open to the idea of, she's 17, she's got a lot of time.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of thing where I would say, like, why don't we just, let's see what it's like, come here, do deliveries for us, do whatever you can do, see how you feel about it. She's worked events with me before. And I've had her as my assistant for various private events, and she's great. She talks to people, and she's outgoing. So I don't want to force it on her,
Of course.
you know,
Yeah.
but if she wants to explore a bit more, great. You know, there's space for her here at the winery.
Well, our son and daughter are very different from one another as well, right? You know, so it's kind of like that. And you may find too that, you know, she or he wants to go off and do some independent thing for a little while, and then they're like, hey, you know what? It's not too bad, you know, going back and working with mom and dad, you know, at the wine attic and doing that business. You know?
Yeah, who knows? Who knows what they'll do? I've actually heard that story a lot, and particularly in the wine world. You know, the kids go out, and then at some point they go, let's work and improve the family business from all this stuff I've learned. And so hopefully we'll see.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, when Juan is not at the wine attic, what do you do for recreation? What are the things that you like to do?
I think any small business owner would say, recreation. What is that?
When do I ever have time?
Where is the free time?
Especially retail, because you're like, what, 7 days a week?
Yeah, we're 7 days a week here, and we've got a great team. But you know, if something happens, one's like, I can't come in today, I'm the backup. I'm always the backup, right? So no matter what. So when we went to Austria, and we had to coordinate a lot of people to say, okay, everyone's here, you're on schedule. I cannot. It's gonna be 10 hours minimum if something happens and I gotta be here.
Yeah.
So, but no, my wife and I enjoyed, you know, trying. We love restaurants. We love to eat great food.
Your favorite restaurant in Clifton?
Well, it's hard to say. There's so many great restaurants in Clifton, but we are looking forward to. We're going to a wine dinner at Trummer's, and that's going to be a great time. Great wine pairing, great food. You know, but I love the pub. I love the one in Bellagio. All those spots are great. But we like trying different restaurants and trying that kind of stuff. And then wineries, we go to a few. You know, it's part of the business, but there's one in particular that we choose to go to and to support because, you know, when we got on this side of things, we're like, you know, we can buy whatever we want, you know, at wholesale and do that, right? But we chose to stick with Rappahannock Cellars.
Okay.
And they're out in Huntley, in Front Royal.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, their approach in terms of family, that was the very first thing we noticed. We walked in, I think it was our second visit there. We went once, like on a reconnaissance mission. This is like 12 years ago.
And it's research too, so
It's research.
part of the business. Yeah.
But they recognized us after one visit, and they're like, hey, Juan and Renee, welcome back. And we're like, well, these people, come on now.
There you go.
And so the Delmars have just been great. So we stick with them. We love going up there. Just to, you know, we probably don't go up as much as we should to pick up our wine club, but that's one of our favorite spots. You know, if we're calling Front Royal, Northern Virginia, it's one of our favorite.
It qualifies.
There we go. Yeah.
There you go. Nice. So, hobbies? You a sports guy?
No, I don't think so. No, I mean, I watch, you know, we'll watch baseball, we'll watch football. I wish yesterday ended differently, but
Okay.
whatever. Yeah, you know, we'll watch. But mostly when we're at home, it's, I don't even know what we do at home. I pick my guitar a lot.
Okay.
That's the one thing, and that's an interesting thing when we talk about the things that you do to kind of reset yourself. Like Renee, I know she's much more visual, so I'll see stuff that she's drawn and paintings and things. I'm like, I don't know how you do this, and it's incredible to me. But I know that there's a zen to that, right? And for me, like if I could just zone out and just like put on some tunes, play along, or just record some ditties or whatever, like just that's good for me. And all of a sudden, it's like 3 hours later, but it's like 1:30 in the morning,
And you're relaxed.
and I'm like, where have I been? And that's good for me. And then the technology has changed. Like, you know, like here we have all these, like, you know, different Bluetooth clip-on microphones and things. You know, I can run
They work or don't work. depending
Yeah,
on the day.
but I can run my guitar through a laptop, so I don't have to set up like a gigantic amp to play. I run it through a thing, have my headphones on, and no one hears anything, but I'm playing loud in my head, and that's great for me. So that's kind of what I would do if I just say I haven't picked up the guitar in a while. I'm gonna take an evening to do that. You know, Renee will have nights where she paints for hours, and I don't understand it. But those are the things that we do.
So music-wise, You play guitar, so and you mentioned that you write a lot of your own stuff. So what's your favorite music to play with the guitar, and then what's your genre that you like to listen to?
So probably in terms of like what I can play, and that kind of style, I would say like what resonates with me and like what I can reproduce well, sort of like mid '80s jangly indie pop, like indie rock, like so like R.E.M. And particularly that like mid '80s through right before they released Green. It was a bit more jangly with like the Rickenbacker, right? That kind of sound, and I can sort of faithfully reproduce that, and it's fun to play. In terms of listening to music, I really actually like very aggressive guitar-driven music.
Okay.
And we're not going to call it metal. We're not going to call it. We're just going to like because there's a lot of stuff that just has like Rocket from the Crypt is a great band, right? And that's just but the guitar is fantastic. And I need to start hitting the gym again. And when I want to, get my heart pumping, that's the kind of music I would listen to. But yeah, I just love to hear guitars going nuts. But sometimes that is even just there's a great like old Nick Drake, right? And this is like he's a solo British folk singer, right? But the way he played that guitar, those like really dead strings like that. I don't know. It just that's kind of stuff that gets me going. So it's just I like to hear guitars played like really with a lot of intent.
With a lot of intent.
Yeah, that's the way I put it.
Nice. Well, you'll have to meet my son because he does the same thing. He
All
does
right.
the same kind of bands. It sounds like.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's the thing. Same thing with business though. Like try, right? And then that goes back to like what my dad was saying. Like just keep trying. Just keep doing it. So like I don't want to come up here and like do half the job here. Right, we want to have a great looking wine shop. We want to have a great selection, and it's the same thing. Try hard, guitar. Try hard. Everything just try hard. And sometimes you wake up and you're like, I'm really tired today, and you got to find it, right?
You got to dig it out.
And then you're like, okay, well, the dishes have to be done. Until you end, here we are. The shop generates a lot of dishes, just nonstop.
So what are some of the other things that you do in the shop here too?
Well, wine classes are a big thing,
Yeah, okay.
and so we'll do these. So when we had the winemaker here, Stephanie from One of the Wines, we did that as a wine and cheese afternoon,
Okay.
right? So like that's fun. So it's not just like, oh, here's a sample of wine, but there was some pairing in that. And last time we had her here, we did it as a wine and chocolate afternoon, right?
Okay.
So I like to do those kinds of things.
Charcuterie kind of stuff.
Yeah, mostly really just cheese. But then we do our wine classes are great. So we'll bring in we're doing a whole series this year. Every other month, Italy, north to south. So we just had Piemonte, and we work with Roberto from Impero Wine Distributors, and we select a lineup, and we'll do a couple different sessions. They usually sell out, and we do them in our downstairs space where you've done some meetings before. We'll turn that into a classroom.
Oh, nice.
And it works out great, about like 12, 14 seats. So they're intimate classes, like an hour and a half. But those are really big for us because you get to really like immerse yourself in a very specific region, a very specific theme. So there's more of that coming up. I got to book the March one. And then the Lorton shop will also do these events. Lorton's done more of we do like a small bites pairing kind of thing. So we've got some more of those coming out over there. But those things are fun to do because it's not just the wine. Then you get to see how wine and food work together.
So from the timing of those, are they during the week? Are they on the weekends? When do you usually do?
In Clifton, they're almost exclusively on Saturdays. It seems to be the best time. In fact, the earlier the better. So if we have like an 11:30 a.m. or noon class, that's the first one to sell out. We'll usually add a second one. And then in Lorton, we've been trying different days, but we've had Thursday and Saturday classes. And we're still experimenting to see which one more people are able to get to. It's a busier type of neighborhood over there.
Yeah.
So weekends are very different there. So we're still learning, still gathering data, but primarily they're weekend classes.
Okay. Nice. So, what's your most ambitious goal for this year?
What was that ambitious goal for this year? To spend more time in the shops and to get that to get the kitchen open in order.
Okay.
And that's ambitious because the permitting in Fairfax County is not fun.
Now, you don't have a kitchen here, right?
No, here's just literally just this
Just a little.
this 800 square feet. That's it.
Yeah.
We wouldn't even have one more.
So how big's your space in Morton?
1,600.
Oh, okay, so it's.
Yeah,
twice as
and
much.
ground level, and it's a whole different thing. But
Okay.
yeah, it's over there. The goal to build out that kitchen so we can have the license to pour a glass of wine, pour a glass of beer. We're not looking to do mixed liquor, that kind of stuff, but a wine and beer place where we can just get a great glass and relax with some nice people. That's the goal.
So what haven't I asked you that you want me to talk with you about?
Well, I think we've covered most of it, but you haven't asked me. Well, we haven't talked about Renee at all.
Let's get there.
That's the most important part of this whole thing. I keep you there with that, but the most important part of this whole thing really is Renee, because no matter what I choose to do, I do ultimately have to answer to and run it by her. And so when we, she's the co-founder, co-owner, she's the co-everything of what we do here. I'm in the shop more. She's a behind-the-scenes person. That's how she likes it. That's why she's not on this video.
Because we invited her, right?
Oh yeah. but no, honestly, I cannot downplay or highlight enough. That's it. I cannot highlight enough how important Renee is to the shop and the identity of what we do here, in terms of where she is in her life, who she is. She tastes things that other people really identify with. So she just knows, and where I can spend 5 minutes or so trying to really get involved and understand the wine, she knows in 2 seconds. And I can then relay that. We have guests that absolutely go, that's a Renee wine, I want the Renee wine. I want the one that she tried. And there are certain favorites here. I'll put it in an email and say, by the way, here's a Chardonnay that Renee likes. And she's not known for liking Chardonnay. If I say here's a Chardonnay, people line up for it. So she's got this magic touch that I have no idea what it is, but she's very decisive, she's very direct, and that is a huge influence on what we do here. I mean, this shop is a lot of this shop is Renee, even though she likes to be behind the scenes, a lot of it is her. And so when we say it's your favorite mom and pop bottle shop, Pop's here, right? Pop's gonna talk to you, but Pop's only talking to you because mom, made a lot happen.
Well, we call our wives our better half for a reason.
Oh yeah, well she's the better 75% of this whole thing.
It might be more than half.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Well, that's awesome. Juan Navarro. Thank you so much.
Hey, absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. And so, thanks for joining us on Living in Clifton. We're going to continue to do this with business owners in the Clifton area because we want to get beyond just their businesses and get into their everything else, their other aspects of your life. So we appreciate you doing that. How can they hear about you? We talked a little bit about that. You've got a website.
Yes. Okay. Very important. So it's thewineaddict.com, addict, A-T-T-I-C, thewineaddict.com. Also on socials, Facebook and Instagram is just at The Wine Addict. Very, very simple. And all the information's there. And then you can always call us or text us, 703-543-8406.
Excellent. Okay, so we've got a website, Facebook, Instagram, you're on X as well.
Kind of. We don't really use it much. Wine, I like to take pictures of the wine, and the Instagram works better for that.
All right, okay. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you for spending time with us. Join us next time. This is Dave Zimmerman with the Kaza Group. See ya.